calling to order.
Chair, 1 sec. Okay. Turn the mic on. Want to make sure she was on.
Good evening.
There you go.
The May 8th, 2024 regular meeting of the Murrieta Planning Commission is called to order. Madam Secretary, would please do a roll call to determine the quorum?
Thank you, Chair. Chair Fisher.
Here.
Vice Chair Harlan.
Here.
Commissioner Vrooman.
Here.
Commissioner Wojcik.
Here.
Commissioner LaPaglia.
Here.
Let the record reflect all members are present.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. We are now moving forward to the election of the presiding officers. Madam Secretary, if you could please preside for the selection of the chair.
Thank you, Chair Fisher. We will now move on to the selection of the chair. For the record, all of the planning commissioners were provided the selection of the presiding officers pursuant to Section 1.3A of the Planning Commission Resolutions, PC 2020-12. The order will be as follows. As the Planning Commission Secretary, I will deem that all Planning Commission members are on equal basis to nominate and elect nominations, do not require second and are not non-debatable. There may be more than one nomination. If there is more than one nomination, there will be a paper vote. A motion and a second is required to close nominations. Upon closing nominations, I will do a roll call vote. Upon the election of the new chair, they will take the center seat. Following the election of the chair will be the election of the vice chair. The new chair will preside over this process. In the same manner, upon the vice chair's election, they will take the seat directly to the right of the chair. Before we begin the selection of a chair, are there any members of the public who would like to comment regarding this item? Seeing none, that concludes comments. Are there any questions from the commissioners?
I had a question. Would our nominating motion include both seats or one seat at a time?
One seat at a time.
Okay.
So I now deem you all on equal basis. Do I hear a nomination for chair?
I nominate Craig Harlan.
I'll second.
Commissioner Harlan, do you accept? Are there any other nominations? Commissioner Harlan, do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Commissioner, do you accept the nomination? Or seeing none, there is no motion and a second to close nominations. Madam Secretary, please do a roll call vote to close the nominations.
Commissioner Vrooman.
Aye.
Commissioner Wojcik.
Aye.
Commissioner Harlan.
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher.
Aye.
Commissioner LaPaglia.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
We will now ask for a short recess to confer with the new chair.
I want to introduce the Deputy Director with some comments regarding the chair, the outgoing chair.
Good evening. If this was an award ceremony for the best dresser, you would be the winner. Because as you wore suits and ties, your colleagues wore T-shirts. So I just wanted to put down the record here. Chair, or outgoing chair, you called me and the city planner a number of times before hearings. And you went over items and you remained objective prior to the vote. You upheld the development code and general plan in all your decision making. You fostered confidence in the community as the Planning Commission does ask focused questions and holds applicants and staff accountable during public hearings. Your valuable experience, volunteering in the community on various committees, as well as your commitment to the city of Murrieta to ensure that every speaker was provided an opportunity to share their concerns. As the baton now moves on forward to Craig, you leave a great standard by which future chairs and co-chairs can aspire to. It's been a pleasure. And over the last year, we've tortured you with car washes, fuel centers, storage facilities, multifamily housing. I think you're a quick study. You got up to speed on housing law, And that was very difficult, because I think that's just a strong shift in all of us. You held the guard, and I'm really proud to call you a colleague, and I wish you well. But I just wanted to share those words for you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Here, here. Good job, Chair. Outgoing Chair. Then we should move on to the next nomination.
I know in my time here, I've had the pleasure and privilege to work with Mr. Fisher and Mr. LaPaglia, and you certainly, both gentlemen have set the bar high, and I aspire to meet the standards you have set, so it's been a pleasure, gentlemen. Well done.
Thank you.
Madam Secretary, if you could please preside for the selection of, we'll now move on to the selection of Vice Chair. We will follow the same procedure as outlined by Madam Secretary. With that being said, do I hear any nominations for Vice Chair?
I nominate Dennis Ruman.
I would second it.
Commissioner Vrooman, do you accept the nomination?
I do.
Are there any other nominations?
Seeing none?
Is there a motion and a second to close the nominations?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Madam Secretary, please do a roll call vote to close nominations.
Commissioner Fisher,
Yes?
Chair Harlan,
Aye.
Vice Chair Vrooman,
Aye.
Commissioner Wojcik,
Aye.
Commissioner LaPaglia.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
We'll now have a short recess to confer with the new chair. All right, gentlemen, if you're ready, let's move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Wojcik, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please rise and face the flag. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Wojcik. We'll now be moving on to the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Seeing none?
I'd like to call for a motion and a second to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary, will you please do a roll call vote?
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Chair Harlan,
Aye.
Vice Chair Vrooman,
Aye.
Commissioner Wojcik,
Aye.
Commissioner LaPaglia.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. At this time, we'll take public comments. Any person may address the Planning Commission on any subject pertaining to city business, which does not relate to any item listed on the agenda or the consent calendar. Normally, no action may be considered or taken by the Planning Commission on any matter not listed on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Madam Secretary, do we have any non-agenda public comments?
Seeing none?
Excuse you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. We are now moving on to the approval of minutes.
I just wanted to make a comment on the minutes. The March 27th minutes, that was our last meeting we had. There was the project on the southeast corner of Jefferson and Murrieta Hot Springs Road. It has me down in the minutes as an aye vote, but I voted no. So I would make a motion to approve the minutes subject to that change.
We can, staff can make that change in the minutes for the commission.
Thank you for that catch and the feedback. So approval of minutes, we're looking to approve the minutes of the March 13, 2024 and March 27, 2024 regular Planning Commission as presented. Madam Secretary, are there any members of the public requesting to speak on the approval of the minutes?
Seeing none?
I'd like to call for a motion and a second to approve the minutes.
So I'll make a motion to approve the minutes subject to the change of the March 27th minutes, changing my aye vote to a nay vote.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary, please do a roll call vote.
Chair Harlan.
Aye.
Vice Chair Ruman.
Aye.
Commissioner Boychuk.
Aye.
Commissioner LaPaglia.
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. We'll move on to the discussion item. So proposed additions to the capital improvement plan for fiscal years 2024/25, 2028/2029, in conformance with the City of Murrieta General Plan 2035. May we have a staff report, please?
Good evening,
Good evening.
Chair Harlan, Vice Chair Ruman, and members of the commission. Jennifer Terry, Finance Manager with the city, here at the city. RN Mendoza, Financial Analyst from the Finance Department, will provide the presentation tonight. Jeff Hitch, the city engineer, and other project managers are here tonight if you have any project-specific questions. Tonight's action before the Planning Commission is to determine whether the proposed capital improvement plan projects are consistent with the goals and policies of the General Plan 2035. RN will provide a background of the CIP adoption process, a brief description of the proposed new projects and the annual public works maintenance projects, and how those projects conform to the General Plan policies. I would like to point out that prior years' presentations to the Planning Commission included a robust presentation on the status of existing projects. Tonight's presentation will stick to the task at hand of confirming conformance to the general plan. A City Council workshop was held last night where a more in-depth project description was provided if anyone is interested in watching that. I'll now turn the presentation over to RN.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the Commission, RN Mendoza, Financial Analyst. Here to discuss just the agenda, which is the CIP background, new CIP projects, future actions, and our recommended action. Just to give a Commission just a brief overview, the Capital Improvement Plan, or CIP, is a long-range 5-year planning for all individual improvement projects and funding sources. The plan also implements a funding plan on one-time, non-recurring, and recurring projects. As mentioned earlier, the list of the proposed new projects was presented to the City Council through a budget workshop last night, May 7th. A brief list of the said projects with the corresponding general plan policies are included in your agenda packet tonight as Exhibit A and B. As required by Government Code Section 65401, City staff is bringing forward the proposed additions for the City Planning Commission to review and report its conformity with the city's general plan. On June 4th, the City Council will hold a public hearing, and the proposed final CIP plan and budget will be presented and adopted. Tonight before you, there are a total of 13 new projects subdivided into 4 categories for the new CIP projects. The building category projects addresses and conforms to several elements such as the land use, recreation, and open space, and safety elements of the general plan. The said elements mentioned promote future patterns of development and land use that reduce infrastructure construction costs and make better use of existing and planned public facilities, providing community centers with equitably distributed locations and ensuring the public safety, infrastructure, and staff resources keep pace with new development planned. The projects identified are the City Hall Annex, the PD building locker room remodel, the PD building expansion project, and the Murrieta Youth Center Phase 2. Under the park category, these projects address and conform to the recreation and open space elements, and pursues the development of active recreation facilities through improvements to park and existing facilities. It provides access and accommodations for future users with a range of physical abilities and a new development of coordinated system of open space, parkland, recreation facilities, and trails. The projects identified are the city-wide pickleball court project, the Pioneer Park Phase 2 project, the Vintage Reserve Restroom project, and the Murrieta Creek Regional Trail. The storm drain category project addresses and conforms to the infrastructure element, ensuring sufficient levels of storm drainage service are provided to protect the community from flood hazards and minimize the discharge of materials into the storm drain system that are toxic or which would obstruct flows. The projects identified are the Line D box culvert extension at Murrieta Hot Springs Road and Line G from Adams to Murrieta Creek. Under the traffic signal category, the projects address and conform to the circulation element. The circulation element system will serve an internal circulation need or address the need for the city while also addressing the inter-community or travel needs. These projects provide a coordinated traffic control system that moves traffic within and through the city in an efficient and orderly manner. The project identified as a future traffic signal at Keller Road and Ziders Road and the Jefferson Street at Magnolia Street traffic signal. This next slide shows 12 proposed new projects under the annual Public Works Maintenance projects. This commission has reviewed the projects previously and is brought forward on an annual basis. And the Planning Commission has found these said projects to conform with the city's general plan in both the circulation and infrastructure elements. Future actions for the said projects, as mentioned earlier, the City Council to hold a public hearing on June 4th, 2024 to adopt the Capital Improvement Plan fiscal years 24-25 through 28-29. And the recommended action in front of you is to adopt, as a Planning Commission, adopt and make a finding to the City Council that the new proposed additions to the Capital Improvement Plan fiscal years 24-25 through 28-29 are in conformance with the City of Murrieta's General Plan 2035. As stated earlier, project managers and staff are available should you have any questions. And this ends our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. To be clear, the purpose of the review by the commission is limited to reviewing the capital improvement plan conformance with the general plan's applicable goals and policies and reporting those findings to the City Council.
That's correct, Chair.
And it does not include consideration of budget, the review, determination, decision, or recommendation of the individual capital improvement plan projects or which projects should be or not be in the CIP, correct?
That's correct, Chair Harlan.
Great, thank you. Any questions from the commissioners? Mr. Fisher?
No, I'll pass it this time.
I got just one. Just one. Can you run by the 5 parks again?
I'm sorry.
There are 5 parks as part of the plan.
Oh.
Can you just run by those one more time?
Sorry.
Yeah, the 5 new parks.
Yeah.
Yes, so for the Parks project, there are 5 additional projects. As listed on your agenda report, I believe it's the citywide pickleball court project, Pioneer Park Phase 2, Vintage Reserve Restroom, Murrieta Regional Trail project. And I believe, I may have misstated, it might have been 4 projects, as I mentioned on the verbal report.
Is this, the splash pad is included in the report as well?
I believe, yes, I apologize. The Alderwood splash pad.
Sorry,
Yes,
that is the fifth. I
fifth.
think that's what the commissioner was looking
Correct.
for.
Yes.
Thank you.
Just one question. Looking at the capital improvement plan project summary that you provided, looking at, let's say, for example, project 11003 has one general plan policy reference. And if I look at 13065, it looks like there's 5 references. As you're building this out, is it minimum one reference? Is it, in other words, if one reference aligns to it, is the recommendation that you're good there? In other words, does there need to be more than one, seeing as how some have more than one?
I think
that make sense?
I can help with this. So the finance department, consults with us along with Public Works, and we try to come up with the policies that best align. So they've consulted amongst a number of departments. Community, I would be remiss to not mention community development as well. So we all kind of coordinate together, and then we try to pick the policies that best align. And then that's how we determine the projects comply. Yeah. So in some cases, Chair Harlan, right, there's a number of policies that it hits on. Sometimes it's only one. So it just depends.
And if you have one, then you're comfortable that's consistent.
Yeah. Theoretically, I guess if we're getting to the crux of it under state law, a project should be consistent with at least something in the general plan, I would think, would be the case, right? So at least one.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair,
Not contrary to any, right.
Got it.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Sure.
Are these capital projects, I know there's a span of years that they're projected to be done. Is there a prioritization to these, and will the Planning Commission ever see a prioritization?
I'd look to staff to comment on that. Maybe Mr. Hitch could help with the ideas of which ones are funded or not, I guess, would be, I'm not sure that we would be equipped with that answer.
So some of these projects are fully funded, some of these projects are not. And the prioritization is largely set based on city council's goals and workshops that we establish on an annual basis. Last night or yesterday afternoon, we had a workshop to discuss the new projects that we're bringing forward. And early in the year, we had a workshop with city council as well to discuss prioritization, the types of projects that they wanted to see us bring forward. Some of these new projects are in part based on some of the guidance that we've received. One of the traffic signals, for example, is a signal at Ziders and Keller Road is one of the new traffic signal projects. That particular project is located right on the border of the city of Murrieta and city of Menifee. And it's really waiting for the land development that's taking place in that corner of Murrieta, which is called the Murrieta Hills Development Project, which your commission should be familiar with. That commission or that project is conditioned to pay cash in lieu for that project for a portion of that traffic signal. So we needed a CAP project to land that funding into when that funding comes available. The rest of that project is currently unfunded. There's not a need to build it today. So I'm providing this as an example of the way these projects are done. A couple of the other projects, for example, Line D and Line G, they're partially funded. They're not fully funded. They're expensive projects. Of course, the goal of today's meeting is not really to discuss funding and those natures, but to kind of respond to your question. Some of the projects that are new projects are funded, and some are partially funded, some are simply unfunded.
And I know it would be City Council's decision, but with the housing issues that we have today, I just want to make sure that some of these things are going to get done to correspond to some of the housing issues that we are here in the commission approving. I'm trying to be kind.
It's a good question. So maybe one example of that might be Line D, a culvert expansion that runs across Murrieta Hot Springs Road. As you're familiar with, there's two developments on either side of Hot Springs Road at Jefferson Avenue that are adjacent to that Line D box culvert that crosses the road. That box culvert creates a pinch point The city has created it's in our it's on our storm drain DIF program, line D is, so it makes that eligible to be able to spend DIF funds on that box culvert. That was part of the reason why that project was brought forward, so we can start the work on creating a project for that and developing that project. Projects like that take 2 to 3 years. I'm going to say even longer than that, actually, probably 3 to 5 years because of the environmental nature of permits and whatnot that are required to process a project like that. So it's not something that would be done right away, but something that we recognize needs to be done. So it's an example of projects that we bring forward associated that might assist with the development of housing in the area.
So this capital improvement plan is only for a 4-year period of time, is that correct?
It's a 5-year capital improvement
5-year?
plan.
Ah, okay, 29, okay.
Right.
Thank you.
So fellow commissioners, based on comments and questions, may I call for a motion and a second, please?
Could we switch to the slide with the recommendation there, please? So I can read the recommendation for the commission is to adopt a resolution of the Planning Commission entitled Resolution of the City of Murrieta, California, making a finding to the City Council that the new additions to the capital improvement plan fiscal years 2024, 25, 20, 28, 29 are in conformance with the City of Murrieta General Plan 2035.
I'll make a motion.
I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary, please do a roll call vote.
Chair Harlan.
Aye.
Vice Chair Vrooman.
Aye.
Commissioner Wojcik.
Aye.
Commissioner LaPaglia.
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you. We're now moving on to city planner comments. Anything we missed? Comments?
I've got a few comments. I just wanted to again congratulate Chair Fisher on a successful year. My first year up here running the meetings with you guys, and I thought you did a great job, Chair Fisher. And I do want to congratulate new Chair Harlan. We got a lot of work to do, and new Vice Chair Vrooman. So we'll look forward to working with you over the next year. And I did want to mention that we've been doing a lot of work with the folks working on the Triangle development project, and it's likely the next hearing of the Planning Commission, we will have a workshop on that project to familiarize the commission with the Triangle project. So I'm really excited on behalf of the city to bring that to the commission, likely at a workshop in June, I think. So with that, back to you, Chair.
Outstanding. We certainly have big shoes to fill with Mr. Fisher moving over to Commissioner, for sure. City Attorney comments? Anything we missed?
No,
Comments?
nothing additional. Thank you.
Thank you. Fellow Commissioners, any comments, thoughts? With that, with no further business, may I ask for consensus to adjourn the meeting at 6:29? Meeting is now adjourned.